In my hands, I have about 120 responses from students when they were asked what they wish their peers knew about them and what they wish their teachers knew about them. I've been teaching junior high for the past 5 years, and I have about 150 students that walk through my classroom every day. Each one bringing their own opinions, their own thoughts, their own secrets, their own personalities. And I got to thinking, there has to be a lot that I just don't know about some of these students. And there's probably some things that they want their peers to know and some things that they want their teachers to know. While I am 7 days shy of getting out of school, I decided to propose this survey to my students about a month ago. And just curious as to what types of responses that I would get. Now, like I said, I'm to the point in the year where I'm losing my mind and a lot of teachers are losing their mind. And so are the students. Some of them are excited for high school. Some of them are nervous for it. Some of them want summer. Some of them hate summer. But I just think that as teachers, there's so much more than just teaching in school. And you hear that a lot. You hear that as a talking point. But what does that even really mean? Every year, some districts in the state of Iowa give a conditions for learning survey. And then the following year, we sit down as a staff, teachers, administrators, counselors, and we talk about the data from that survey. And one thing that really stuck out to me this year was how low our student-to-student relationships were and how low our teacher-to-student relationships were. These were actually our two lowest categories from the whole survey, with less than 50% of kids answering that there were positive student-to-student and teacher-to-student relationships. And that just blew my mind. I try so hard as a teacher, and I am constantly partnering kids up and giving them a chance to work with their friends, work with new peers, work by themselves, listen to music, not listen to music. I let them know that I care. Is everything going on okay at home? Are you getting things done at school? But I thought to myself, that must not be enough, because how do less than 50% of kids rank us so low? And, in the middle school, relationships are just so important. So my idea we're sharing is that we need to invest in our students. We need to find out what they want us to know and what they want their peers to know. And then what do we do with that information? Now, I did two questions on this survey. The first one was, what is one thing that I wish my peers knew about me? And I will read off some of the responses, but I just want you to look at the statistics here on the screen. About 42% of the responses dealt with personal information. So, for example, I would never do anything to ruin my sports career, such as fail a class or do anything stupid that wouldn't allow me to play. I'm very dedicated to my goals. I talk a lot and I get off task easily, but my classmates think it's funny, so I continue to do it. I'm not always quiet. Outside of school, I am fun and outgoing. I wish my peers knew that I know when they talk behind my back. I'm serious about schoolwork, and I don't get distracted easily. I'm having a lot of problems at home, and I'm very stressed about it. I wish they could understand and not give me anything else to worry about. Some of these answers, were more deep than others. Some of them weren't very serious at all. I had one student tell me that their favorite candy bar is a Kit Kat. I don't know if that was a subtle hint that I'm supposed to bring in candy. But then I get answers like, I wish they knew that I was abused and that it does still affect me, and I do still care about the issue. 39% of the issues dealt with relationships, whether that be friendships, whether that be enemies, or whether that be boyfriend-girlfriend situations. I wish they knew that I'm a nice friend. I wish they knew that when I'm spacing out, I still hear all of the rumors and gossip and trash that you spread. I'm shy when you first meet me, but once you get to know me, I'm a really nice person. I wish my peers knew that I'm not a tryhard because I want to succeed. I don't think I'm better than other people because I have accomplishments. I also don't think that I'm better for anyone for any reason. I just want to be treated like everyone else. Now, some of these things, they might have shared with their peers. But you can tell that some of them, it might be the first time that they're ever sharing this out loud. About 14% of the responses were stereotypes, either addressing them or trying to break them. For example, you may hear all the bad things people say about me, but I bet one deep 20-minute conversation with me will change your whole perspective. Not all show choir people are the same. Just because I play sports doesn't mean I'm a jerk. Then there's about 5% that were just other categories, whether they wrote nothing, whether they wrote I don't care, whether they wrote left it blank, or wrote some random fact. And some of these broke my heart, but also some of them made me laugh, and some of them really put my teaching into perspective. And students were begging. They wanted to hear what their classmates had to say. They were like, oh, who said that and who wrote that? And it was completely anonymous, so they never knew. The second question I asked them was, one thing you wish your teachers knew about me. Now, mind you, I had to brace myself for this because I did show the students that the survey was anonymous, and I told them I would not try and hunt them down and to figure out who wrote what. I just wanted them to be honest. Most of the things were school related. Things like, I take school very seriously even though I talk a lot. I hate presenting in front of the class. I like my friends at school because I feel like they always have my back and they really help me get a lot of my work done. I wish my teachers knew that I love school because it gives me an escape from my life. And I know I can say the right answers if I study, but sometimes I'm having a hard day and I can't focus. It doesn't mean I'm trying to be disrespectful. It doesn't mean I don't care. I just can't physically bring myself to do that activity at the moment. About 30% of the responses were personal. Now, this was kind of hard to judge because I felt as if some of the personal categories were also some of the academic ones, like the one I just read. But there were some that talked about prior abuse at home. There were some that talked about how they struggled to make friends. There were some that felt like they miss a lot of connections at school. But then there were some that just flat out said, I don't want my peers to know anything about me. I don't want you to know anything about me. And I wish I knew who those students were. I wish I could talk to them. I wish I could understand why. But I told them, I'm not going to try and find you. I'm not going to try and hunt you down. I want you to be honest with me. About 15% of the responses were classroom management. So things like, I want to listen to music. I like to sit by my friends. I like when you give us a choice in activities. I have ADHD and trouble paying attention, so I like to sit away from the crowd. Then there were some that made me swallow my pride a little. I had a student tell me that he can tell, or he or she, I suppose, can tell when I'm overreacting and that my voice hurts their ears. I had another student tell me that they don't like when I nag students about their work. And it was hard for me because I wanted to say, well, if I didn't nag you, would you get your work done? But that's not beneficial because this was their time to tell me how they felt. So where do you go from here? What do you do with this information? Because a lot of teachers will sit in meetings and they have discussion points. They're like, all right, here's the new initiative, here's the next initiative, here's the latest and greatest. But what do we do with that? What if this is truly an idea we're sharing? How do we spread that? So from talking with other teachers and my students and some of my own ideas, I came up with a list of 6 things. Now, some teachers may do all of these. They may do some of these, or you may not do any of them. But I think we need to really consider how much of an importance we're going to put on student-to-student relationships in our building and in our classrooms, and how much emphasis are we going to put on positive teacher-to-student relationships. And I had to do a little bit of a gut check in this, because I might think that my methods are setting students up for success. I might think that my methods are helping them do what they need to do, but they might not be. And I know as teachers, we're asked to do a lot of things. We're asked to play a parent role, a counselor role, a friend role, a mentor role, and then all while teaching. But for those of you who teach in the chaotic world of middle school, you know that sometimes these social things that happen in the classroom go well above any academic thing that can possibly take place. And so I encourage you to start this next school year and ask your students monthly, quarterly, every semester, maybe the beginning of the year, middle of the year, at the end of the year, what's one thing you want your peers to know? And what's one thing you want me to know? Because there might not be a time where they're going to tell you that, but they might truly need us to know these things. So take a moment and read the 6 things on the screen if you haven't already. These are all things that we can do. Will we have to make a little extra time? Sure. May it take away from some instruction? Sure. Do we have to do all of these? No. Will they always work? No. However, these are my students on this page. But you know these students. These same students are in your classroom. You have students who want you to know these things. You have students in your room who probably want their peers to know these things. So this isn't a my classroom issue. This is an everybody issue. We really have to get better at building the rapport that students have with each other and that students have with their teachers. More time? Yes. More effort? Yes. Will it be worth it? Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this idea we're sharing.